Basically, all the things that I'm gonna go through in this video are the things that I have done to live free from period pain. This is what I wish I learned in school, what I wish I knew sooner, and what has healed me in so many ways. I personally used to have really severe period cramps. I used to call in sick for work every time I was on my bleed on the first day or two. If I wouldn't call in sick, I would honestly just work my way through it and be in so severe pain, which is terrible and which I hope no one does, but I know a lot of women do this. Now I no longer experience pain while on my bleed. It has freed me in the most powerful ways. For this video, I felt like it was appropriate not only to wear red, but to also have a red background. So here we are in one of the most sacred spaces in my home, which is my little self-care corner in my bedroom. So, girls, women, anyone who is bleeding, we need to get something straight. We need to release the shame around our periods. And this is something that I'm working on too right now. And I feel like if you're watching this video, you're totally in this with me and we're totally doing this together, which I am so excited about. Today we're gonna dive deep into so many different aspects of our menstruation. We'll cover the basics of what happens inside our bodies hormonally, biologically, emotionally. We'll talk nutrition, exercise, self-care, everything to do in order to release shame around our periods and live free from period pain and just really live more in tune, in sync with our bodies and tune into our full feminine energy. Because truly, the more we understand about our bodies, the more we can let go of shame and pain and stress and so many negative things that are affecting so many amazing women all over the world, and this is just something that we cannot accept anymore. Also, hi, I'm Astrid, a content creator from Copenhagen, sharing everything about slow, sustainable, and cyclical living. So if you are into this video and if you are into these topics, I definitely hope that you want to stick around and watch some more of my videos and just become a part of this slow and safe corner of the internet. I also want to say I am just recently starting to study hormonal health and herbalism, and it is something that I have been really nerdy about for quite a while. I am absolutely so passionate about women's health and most of all, hormonal health, cycle syncing, and everything really around that topic. And so, even though I'm not an expert at this yet, and this is not medical advice, this is a lot of the knowledge that I have collected so far and that I feel like will contribute positively to a lot of women's lives. With that said, this video I think is going to be quite long, and so I have divided everything into chapters down below. Feel free to jump into the chapters that interest you the most, the chapters that you came here for. I do want to say that in order to be able to reclaim our periods, I feel like we need to know what is going on inside our bodies biologically and hormonally, so that is the first thing that we're going to cover. Basically, your hormonal cycle isn't just about your period, it is about a whole 28-day, can also be longer or shorter, that can be completely normal, but just approximately 28-day inner cycle that covers each 4 phases of your cycle, where the one that we mainly focus on today is the menstrual phase, and this is the one that usually gets all of the attention, even though it shouldn't be this way, because each phase is important, unique, and amazing in its own way. But today we're just going to dive deep into the menstrual phase. And so during your menstrual phase, your hormones are at their lowest. Basically, what is happening is that your body has been preparing for a potential pregnancy. And so estrogen and progesterone, they drastically drop towards the end of this cycle, and this signals to your body to shed the uterine lining. Basically, you can think of your period as your inner winter. It's a time where you are naturally feeling called towards more rest and tuning more inward, really reflecting. Your intuition is really clear at this time because your hormones are at their lowest. And so it can be a really beautiful time to reflect and to rest. It is also the time where naturally inflammation levels in your body are a bit higher. And this is why stress, inflammation, hormonal imbalances can really affect this part of your cycle. Clinically, usually day 1 of your period is spoken about as day 1 of your entire cycle. But I don't really like to speak about the period in this way because what it truly is the end of a cycle and preparing your body for a new cycle. This means that it is not really a beginning yet, it is the end before stepping into your follicular phase. And so I feel like it can be a bit misleading to feel like you should go out there, be productive, and start something new because you're on day 1 of your cycle, while truly your body is actually asking you to really stress down and really lower your level of activities and just give yourself the time to reflect over this whole past cycle that your body is naturally ending. Elisa Vitti, who is an incredible source of information on this topic, inspired me to look at my menstrual cycle in this way, and I would love to hear how it feels aligned with you and what your reflections are on this topic. Alright, so now we're gonna jump into some more specific things that I recommend doing and that I have been doing in order to get rid of my period cramps. And even if you're not experiencing cramps, these are amazing ways to just live more hormonally balanced and sync with your body and your hormonal rhythm. First of all, I also just want to say that period cramps are really not normal, even though they are very normalized and they are very common. It is a signal, not necessarily that there is something wrong with you, but it is your body trying to tell you that something is out of balance. And so instead of looking at it as something negative, feeling like you should be in a different way or something is wrong with you, just try and look at it as a really beautiful language that your body has and actually makes it capable of telling you what you're in need of. I think this is truly incredible. Our bodies are actually so much smarter than we assume. Experiencing severe cramps can be something as simple as your body trying to tell you to slow down and lower your stress levels. It can also be something more complicated, which is why you should definitely consult with a healthcare professional of your own. But with that said, let's get into it. First of all, we want to remove hormonal disruptors around us as much as possible. Without thinking about it, we're constantly being exposed to hormonal disruptors. There are chemicals all over. We are eating processed foods. We are wearing plastics in our clothing. There are so many things that can disrupt our hormones, makeup, skincare, so many things that we consume without really thinking about the fact that these things are actually entering our bodies. And now I don't want you to freak out and I don't want you to feel like this is completely overwhelming and unrealistic. I just want to say that I highly recommend starting to think more about these things. So next time you go out and buy some new skincare, think about what's on the ingredients list. Do I know these ingredients? Do I understand what this product even is or what it does to my skin? Next time you're gonna clean your home, think about how harsh these chemicals are that you're cleaning your home with, or could you use something less harsh, such as, I don't know, brown soap or vinegar? Often there are just a lot of natural and really simple, minimalistic alternatives to these things that we're constantly being sold. We're constantly being told that you need this and that, when in reality, we just need to keep it more simple and more natural. So instead of freaking out, just start slowly. By every time you buy a new product, consider what's in this. Would I feel comfortable giving this to my kid or to someone I love because I'm someone I love? Consider what swaps you can make in your daily life in order to disrupt your hormones less. Also, I have a list in the description of just a very few products. These are brands that I work with and they are products that I truly trust in. If you're looking for example, skincare that is more natural and sustainable than the one you're using now. And other than that, I just recommend you to do more research in general about everything and start questioning things a bit more, be a little bit more skeptical about everything that you consume. And remember that, of course, there is really no way to completely get rid of these hormonal disruptors and chemicals in our lives, and that's okay. No one's perfect, no one has it all figured out, so don't worry too much. Just worry appropriately and in a healthy way. This naturally gets us into the next topic, which is clothing. So I try and wear as many natural fibers as possible. Honestly, I hardly ever wear anything that is synthetic. And I also try and wear only looser clothing or clothing that is stretchy and just allows me to completely relax in my body, because we don't want to feel all tied up and not really able to move freely and be in pain because of tight clothing and having to fit into a certain standard of like what society expect us to wear. Like, we're just going to completely let go of that. We're going to wear things that make us feel comfortable. And this is also something that we want to think about when buying period products. So whether you are using a cup or you're using some organic pads or you're using period panties, just really try and experiment with what works for you the best. Try and find the most sustainable and natural options out there and just allow yourself to slowly figure it out without stressing about having to follow a certain trend or do what everyone else in your circle does. When it comes to your period, rest is truly productive, the most productive thing that you can do if you ask me. And ritualizing your bleed and slowing down is just truly so important in order to allow our bodies to do the work that's going on within. This is a time to work out less, to move your body in a way that feels comfortable. You might be used to moving a lot during your everyday life, and you might not be used to move that not much. And so it's about figuring out what feels natural for your own body. Either way, it is naturally a time to just really turn a little bit down on the physical activities. It's also a good time to turn down on the emotional activities, and so try and see if you can. I mean, ideally it would be amazing to take off the first day of your bleed off of work, but that is probably not possible to everyone, I know. So try and see if you can maybe plan your meetings at another time, maybe work from home while on your bleed on the first few days, or maybe even just try and not make any plans after work. And don't expect yourself to be super social during this time. Slowly start tracking how you feel every time you're on your bleed. And if you can see a pattern after a few months of tracking your emotions that you are always feeling less social during your period, then this is a huge sign to make less plans while on your period, and to also plan for that in advance as much as possible. So overall, just welcome in slower movement, such as some yoga, a walk, or even just a little bit of slow dancing, moving intuitively with your body in a way that feels right for you. Prioritize more sleep, more stillness, and more rest. The next thing I want to talk about is ritualizing your bleed. And when it comes to letting go of the shame around my bleed, I think this is something that has helped me a lot to really create a more sacred space around my bleed and to allow myself to really honor it fully. And this has also made me gain a much deeper understanding and connection to my bleed. What I love to do is, for example, to light some candles and put on maybe some soft music, or just listen to the sound of the wind, the sound of the rain, whatever it is. If it's sunny, maybe lay outside in the sun in a quiet place and massage my womb with some oil. I also have linked my favorite womb oil down below. This is an oil that I've been using for years, and it has truly helped me release a lot of pain. If you don't have a specific womb oil, which can be great because it contains a lot of ingredients that are truly nourishing for your womb. But if you don't have a specific womb oil, you can also just use any oil you might have and just massage that onto your belly and feel the nourishment and give yourself some love, because it is really about showing yourself this love and showing up for yourself with kindness in every way, especially during your bleed. I also love journaling during this time, just really asking myself, what do I want to let go of, and what do I want to bring with me forward into my next cycle? Journaling on some of the highs and the lows during this cycle that is now ending, really just to allow myself to close that chapter and step into a new one. Connecting to your period is not only about the physical things, but it's also about the emotional beliefs that we have around our periods. And so letting go of shame is also a beautiful way to let go of pain. Something else worth mentioning is spending time in nature, because spending time in nature is first of all known to reduce stress levels by reducing cortisol. And so just going for a walk outdoors in the forest, even in your favorite park, sitting under a tree, lying in the grass, just really allowing yourself to feel the earth beneath you is such a beautiful way to just let go of all our worries and all our negative thoughts and just allow ourselves to fully be with our bodies and be present and let go of everything else. This is something that I just cannot recommend enough. And you know me, you know that when it comes to everything, I always recommend spending time in nature. But this is because it truly works. It truly does work wonders to spend more time with the earth, and the way that we are disconnected from nature around us is also a really big sign of how disconnected we are from our own nature and our own biology. And so we want to reconnect with it all. We want to reclaim our relationship with the earth and reclaim our relationship with our bodies. As I mentioned earlier, your bleed is known as your inner winter according to Chinese medicine, and I think this is a really beautiful way to understand what it means to be in your menstrual phase. I think we all associate winter with more of a slower pace, more hibernation, and warmer foods, warmer clothes. It is naturally a time where you want to make sure to keep your body warm, especially your womb and your feet. So maybe you can do that by using a hot water bottle or even wearing some woolen socks. Or if the sun is out, you can go outside and you can stay in the sun and just soak up some extra vitamin D, really allowing yourself to let the warmth just circulate throughout your whole body. And this really also affects nutrition and how you want to eat more warming meals during your bleed and cooked foods. I also love drinking cacao and drinking herbal teas. Some of my favorite herbs during my bleed include raspberry leaf and nettle and ginger. Ginger is really good because it is naturally really anti-inflammatory. I also love chamomile for slowing down and resting a bit deeper. Something else I love is reishi mushrooms. I take these as a tincture, and they are known to support your hormonal balance because they support the hormonal glands. They are also helping you sleep deeper and rest deeper. And so, especially even though I take them throughout the whole month, every evening, especially during my bleed, I found that they honestly help me a lot with better sleep and better rest. I think one of the key takeaways from this is also to try and consume a bit less of the cold, I don't know, iced coffee, cold smoothies, and really cooling foods because these are things that we want to enjoy more during our follicular and ovulatory phase and a little bit less during our menstrual phase. Some of the foods that can be really nourishing during your bleed are magnesium-rich foods, including dark leafy greens and pumpkin seeds and dark chocolate. We also want to focus on anti-inflammatory foods such as ginger, turmeric, and root vegetables. And the reason that we want to cook our foods a bit more is that your digestion is naturally a little bit slower while on your bleed, so we want to help and support our digestion a little bit by not overwhelming it with too many raw foods. Something really, really important too is not to be afraid of eating lots of fats while on your bleed. So we want to welcome in lots of healthy fats such as nuts and seeds, avocado, olive oil. For example, I love adding almond butter to my breakfast and just really allowing myself to have a healthy fatty snack. If I were to mention one thing to try and avoid while on your bleed, that would be too much caffeine and too many highly processed foods. Caffeine can possibly worsen your cramps, and so if you want to consume a bit of caffeine but more intentionally and lightly, I highly recommend matcha or hojicha, or just green tea. Personally, I actually experience quite a energy boost when I drink matcha or even green tea, but I know that is very personal and also something that can be affected by our genetics. But yes, just be a little bit aware of maybe lowering your coffee intake a little bit during your bleed. But once again, this is my own experience and my own knowledge, and truly it's about listening to what your personal needs are. And this is why it's also really important to speak to a healthcare professional, because they can give you a better insight on whether you are lacking some certain hormones, and then you want to support those hormones through your food. I've also made a video earlier, you might have watched it, might not, about just like the overall basics of your whole hormonal cycle. So if you want to gain a bit more of an understanding of what is going on throughout each of your 4 phases, then I highly recommend that video. And in that video are also a lot of book recommendations on some beautiful books if you want to learn more. I would also love to hear any questions in the comments, because I feel like every time I make content on this topic, I just gain so many new followers, so many questions, curiosities, and I really want to create with these in mind, just to make sure that I cover the answers that you are in search of. And naturally, as this is something that I am studying as well, it is really accessible for me at this time to dive deeper into these topics, which I absolutely love and am so grateful for. I've also been asked to just talk a little bit more on my studies, and I think I'm gonna dive deeper into what my studies are about in another video, but just to speak about it quickly, it is basically a 2.5 years education where I have just started the first module, which is like the basics of hormonal health and really gaining an understanding of all of our hormones. And also now I'm studying the Herbalism part, which is all about herbal therapy and all of the scientific based knowledge that we have on herbalism, always with a more holistic perspective on how we can live more in tune with our bodies naturally and individually. To wrap this up, I want to say that the key takeaways are, first of all, you can live without severe period pain, because it is natural to experience a little bit of cramps, but you should be able to experience period in a less painful way, because this is actually what your body was built to. Next point is, the more you know about your body, the easier it is to reclaim your health and to reclaim your period and let go of the shame around it. This whole thing with cycle syncing and tuning into your body isn't about perfection, it's about reflection and connection to your own personal body and your own needs, and you can only learn those needs by slowly allowing yourself to tune deeper and deeper into your own body and listen to your own intuition. And I've found that my own intuition has only gotten much stronger the more that I have synced up with my cycle. Now that we have touched on the menstrual phase, I really feel like mentioning just once more to remember that your hormonal and menstrual health isn't only about your menstrual phase, but in fact, it is truly about honoring every single phase of your cycle. But even though your ovulation is the thing that your cycle is probably most centered around, gaining an emotional connection and honoring your bleed is just a really beautiful starting point when it comes to cycle syncing. So if you're on a journey too, I would love for you to drop a comment in the comment section and let me know where you're at in your journey, and if you found this video helpful, which part resonated with you the most. And just come say hi and like and share this video if it resonated with you, if you feel like it. And I hope that you are gonna subscribe and that you're gonna stay around here on my channel, because I would love to be friends. I would love to see you again. There is so much beautiful content coming up, and I am really stepping into being more consistent on my YouTube channel, which feels amazing, practicing uploading more often, and just really, really love connecting with all of you on here. Remember that you are perfectly enough the way that you are, and I love you for being exactly the way that you are. And if no one has told you this before, your cycle is sacred and you truly deserve to feel good and healthy within your body, and you deserve rest. You deserve to honor your bleed and to honor your body, because you are so worthy of love and so worthy of kindness and gentleness.